Alright. Hey, I'm Mr. Miller, and I am going to be talking about the Aztecs today. Um, the Aztecs are a civilization that started in what's called the Valley of Mexico. And you can see that's sort of right here in the middle of this map of modern-day Mexico. Sort of towards the southern end, right in the middle of the country. In the beginning, the Aztecs were really a group of nomads. And according to legend, they were from an area called Aztlan. That's sort of right up here in modern day U.S., the southern states right here. This is according to their legends or to their myths. And the Aztec sacred symbol right here you can see is the eagle with a snake in the mouth on top of a prickly pear cactus. And they said that when they were nomads, they would wander around looking for a place to settle down. They were looking for a promised land. And once they saw this symbol, that would be the place that they were to settle down. You can see here's the eagle with the snake in the mouth on top of the cactus. And this is modern day Mexico's current flag. You can see it right here. However, the legend or the myth and the actual reality come into conflict with the founding of Tenochtitlan, which is the capital city. According to a lot of historians, the city was founded because the Aztecs came into conflict with a local leader around the Lake Texcoco, and what they ended up doing is they sacrificed the king of a local leader. Obviously, once the king saw that, he wasn't very happy, and the Aztecs ran away and had to go to this kind of marginal, marshy island in the middle of Lake Texcoco. From there, they made the best of their situation and ended up building a great city, again called Tenochtitlan. Here's another view of it. So this is Lake Texcoco right here, all surrounding Tenochtitlan. The Aztecs took a lot of their inspiration from the city, or for their civilization and their city, from a previous city-state civilization called Teotihuacan. And we don't know a lot about the people that lived here, but what we do know is that they created huge pyramids. This pyramid right here is called the Pyramid of the Sun, and its base is roughly the same as the Great Pyramids at Giza in Egypt. So this is just a sight to behold. And the Aztecs saw this stuff and were inspired inside that they wanted to create great things too. This is another shot of the Pyramid of the Sun and kind of an overall view. And they considered this the city of the gods. This is Teotihuacan, about 20 miles from where the Aztecs founded their city, Tenochtitlan. And the way that the Aztecs were able to create their city was kind of a feat of engineering. Because they were on such a marginal, marshy area, if they built big stone buildings without a foundation, it would just sink into the mud. What they did do is hammer down wood pilings into the mud, fill it with stone, and then build on top of that. Again, this was kind of an amazing feat of engineering. So they piled wooden pilings into the lake bed, which enabled them to build up their city. And also enabled them to build this central plaza area where they had their temple structures, including the Templo Mayor, which is the sort of grand temple in the center. One great engineer of the Aztecs was called Nezahualcóyotl. He was actually from a neighboring city called Texcoco, but he helped the Aztecs out. One of the things that he created or helped create was a system of aqueducts. That's the system of carrying water to the city. So although the city was in the middle of this lake, they had to get fresh water from somewhere else. And so they ended up building this aqueduct that had two channels. One channel for fresh water. They're both for fresh water, but if one needed to get repaired or cleaned, they still had access to the other channel for fresh water. Here you can see another look. This is sort of a recreation of what the aqueduct looked like. And the cool thing here is that you have layers of history. You have Aztec on top of kind of colonial buildings, and then on top of modern day buildings, so layers. At the height of the empire, it went up into northern Mexico somewhat, and then all the way down to what's modern day Guatemala, and covered both coasts. Nezahualcóyotl also helped build a barrier here called a dike around the city, and this dike prevented the salt water from this area, which was on the eastern side of the lake, from getting to the western side, which had more fresh water. It also had the benefit of keeping rainwater and floods from taking out the city. So again, dual purposes. It was built to keep the rain out and the city from flooding, but also kept the salt water out on that side. The Aztecs were able to grow and flourish because they created a system of farming called chinampas, that is floating gardens. That's not entirely accurate. They're not floating, but they were these sort of football field length rectangles that they created out of the lake bed. The way they did this is they would hammer down stakes, fill it with mud and rocks, and then have trees on the outside to kind of root and keep it there, and then plant their crops. And so they would have sun, plenty of water because it was built into the lake, and then they would just sort of alternate the crops throughout the year. Amazingly, the chinampas allowed the Aztecs to have 7 crops per year, as opposed to two, maybe 3 of a normal crop just on the mainland. And so it really enabled the city to grow to millions and millions of people. Here's another look at the chinampas. And a lot of the chinampas grew corn or maize, and you're able to take the corn and store it for a long period of time. So even if it wasn't productive a particular year, you would always have stored food. And you can make tortillas out of it. And the cool thing is that many farmers still use the chinampa method today.